Okay, quick little video here. So, recently picked up this W Butcher dovetail saw, back saw. I'm restoring it. So I've been at this almost a week now. It's actually ready to come out of the oil. If you look on my Facebook page, you can actually see what this looked like beforehand. This plate was completely rusted. I've been scraping on it. You can see the stamp there. Hopefully you can if I get the light right. It's a W Butcher, Sheffield, England. I can't tell whether it says cast steel or spring steel. I will find out. Most of the bluing's actually still here. The handle's in great shape. Split nuts, I want you to know that I did not take these off, but they do have some damage to them. So somebody once upon a time tried to mess with these because I think the handle's a little bit loose and the handle's been beat up from running through a miter saw box that this was too short for. Miter saw box like that, except it's a Miller Fall 16.5. It's a very rare miter box. And I want to show you something about cleaning up some of these things. Now this one is a week of scraping with a razor blade, WD-40 and PB Blaster. So yeah, here's the razor blades, a Scotch-Brite pad on the bench, PB Blaster, WD-40, which is outside right now. That's what cleaned up this plate to this point, and it's smooth. There's very minimal rust left on it. It's really clean. This is the accepted way for cleaning saw plates. But on my user saws, all these saws are cleaned up and refurbished by me to use in the shop. These are all users that are in this till. They're all sharp. Most of these plates I did with electrolysis. Took them out of the handles, which is sacrilege. Put the plates in an electrolysis bath overnight. Basically took all the rust off them, and back to work they go. And the electrolysis does a wonderful job. I mean, just terrific. And now this one had been sanded on by somebody. I don't know if you can see this. Before I got this had been sanded on by somebody, and you can see all the swirls from where they sanded on it. That was not me. That was before me, before electrolysis. But the electrolysis removes all the rust with no damage. And I'm going to show you the Miller Fall 16.5 miter box. I just took it out of the bath to show you the condition that it was in. These are the wooden top plates. You can see the rust on them. This is one of the saw guides. This is actually fairly clean. I didn't put this through the bath. You can see the nuts, how rusted they were. So this whole 16.5 was rusted. I'm going to take you outside and show you what it looks like now. Just took it out of the electrolysis bath. So electrolysis, for those of you that don't know, is water and washing soda. Actually, I'm on my way through the laundry room right now, so I'll show you what you use. Do not use any substitutes. Arm & Hammer washing soda, period. Do not use anything else, or you will fail at this. 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. I have a big setup in fish tote with no holes to do large items. This one I just did in this bucket. You have 4 electrodes. They are run in series, not in loops, so you have a wire connecting the 4 of them like this, but not connecting it together that way. I have an old Craftsman charger. You need an old charger so it doesn't overthink itself. Rather than get into the electrical side, I don't want to get into that on this video, but the new ones with little computers and memory boxes and everything will overthink themselves and shut themselves off. This one will not. So it's an old Craftsman charger. You could probably pick them up for $5 on the internet. I only use this for electrolysis. You hook the hot lead to your sacrificial anodes, electrodes, whatever you want to call them, in these pieces of rebar right here that are wired together. And this lead goes to the wire that is supporting whatever you're trying to take the rust off of in this solution of water and washing soda. You hook this to those and you let it go until it stops. So this went overnight, and when there's no more rust for it to get rid of, it will stop conducting electricity. Your amps on that will go to 0. For most of the time in the process, it was up around 3 amps. It's a pretty quick, when it's up around 3 amps, it's pretty aggressive. It really removes rust very fast. The rust, you can see, all is in the water now, and you can see it sticking to the sacrificial electrodes. They draw the rust away from the thing, and away we go. You can leave it on for any amount of time that you want for the intended result, so you don't have to leave it in overnight. You can do a couple hours if you want. You can leave it on for a couple days because it's self-regulating and it will stop when it's done. It does not do any damage to the parts. Does not remove any good metal. It only takes off rust. Before I show you the 16.5, that was completely rusted. I'm going to show you really what I wiped it off with. So I wiped it off with paper towels. I went looking for a wire brush. I could only find close to me that one, and I just grabbed the wire wheel, did it with my fingers. I did wear these. These are inside out now, filthy. And a Scotch-Brite pad, but to be honest with you, air alone blew the rust right off. So this is what this looks like now. Now I'm hoping that I'm going to get that the light's going to be right, so this is going to show. Now I've not taken this in the house yet and gone through and cleaned it. I sprayed it down with WD-40, got most of the surface gunk off it that was sitting on it, so that I can take in. If you look inside some of those real areas inside, you can still see some stuff in there. That's not rust in the metal anymore. It's rust just sitting on the metal that I haven't had a chance to brush out yet. You can see it on my fingers right now. And I will blow it off for you. This is basically rust-free to the point where this foot's actually loose because all the rust that was bridging the gap is gone now. I hope you can see this on this old Miller Falls 16.5. This is a very rare miter saw box. It basically has no rust on it whatsoever. These were very heavily rusted. There's no rust on them at all now. It's just bare metal. I sprayed them down with WD-40 so they don't, or actually hosed them down with WD-40 so they don't flash rust on me right now, because it'd be very susceptible to that until I get them in the house and get them wiped down. So you can, I hope the light's showing up right, that these are completely bare metal. There's nothing left on them for rust after sitting overnight in that bath. This is the saw guide that goes on, basically sits on like this, rotates. You have this piece is part of it. Goes around, this actually locks into, this fits through there somehow, locks into these positions on this little pin right here, locks into the positions. This is an extremely rare one that only has the 2 positions, 3 positions, one over here too. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. Why it doesn't fit in there, I'm not sure. I have to figure that out. Figure out how it goes back together. But just wanted to show you the electrolysis setup. These 4 screws, I would have taken them out, but they were rusted in place and I didn't want to break one. I've been hosing them down with PB Blaster, trying to remove them just with hand pressure. They had not done that, so I decided to bathe it in the electrolysis here. Wait, actually, you can see, I don't know if you can see some of the surface rust right there. I'm just going to wipe it out of there. It just wipes off now. I mean, literally, there is none left on this metal. It's completely clean. It does in no way, shape, or form does this change the dimensions of this metal. It does not remove any good metal whatsoever. It just takes the rust off. So, let me see here. Anything else? Oh, I know. Just figure out in my head why this thing goes on here. I know it goes like that. Something I am missing. Oh. Go upside down? No, it's right like that. Oh, it goes underneath. My bad. So this actually... Sorry. Trying to make room on this table outside. Goes underneath like that. So see how the detents into those. These are the saw guides. These are the depth stops for the saw guides that go into these holes. So you can change it so that it doesn't bottom out in this part of the guide right here. Saw actually rides in that. And you can set the depth with these. These slide on here to set the insertable saw guide that's in here so that it will cut through the wood but won't cut into this metal. And that is completely rust free now. So I'm going to actually take it inside, wipe it down, get anything that I missed, remove these feet so I can clean up those screws and get them tight again, and I can put this thing back together to a nice newly restored state. And a lot of people are against electrolysis. I don't know why. It's recognized as, you know, from museums that restore pieces around the world as the least invasive way to clean up rust. I believe it's better than scraping and sandpaper and Scotch-Brite pads and things like that. But I figured since it was out, I wanted to show you the results. I really hope the light's picking this up at how good this did, because there is, when I tell you there's no rust on this right now, there is no rust on this. It completely cleaned this piece. You can see these were rusted in. You can see how shiny the ends are of those screws. Now, there's no way that whatever rust is inside here got taken out. There's no way that happened. There's still rust, I'm sure, inside those screw threads. The best way that I can tell you is you don't want to leave things intact on this when you do it. You want to take them all apart down to nothing, because anything that's obviously connected together is still going to hold rust. So you want to take it apart as much as you can. Obviously the problems are, if you can't get it apart, what do? I would say that you attack it with PB Blaster until you can. I still have not freed up this pin. This tip on this is brass. It did turn it black, but I can only tell you, I don't know if I can show you, but I can tell you that very, very, very minimal effort here. I'm just going to wipe it with the edge of the Scotch-Brite pad. That black would come right off, right back to the brass. You could actually leave it slightly discolored if you want it to make it look old, or you could just take out a Dremel with a, you know, a polishing wheel or something and polish this right up to like brand new. So it didn't harm the brass or anything. It just turns it black. And like I did say, this is still frozen here, this pin. So I'll have to attack that with PB Blaster and be very careful. I don't want to break any parts of this. This is, if you follow miter boxes, 16.5 is fairly valuable on the market, even still to this day. Let's just say round numbers, it's on the used market, it's, well, I'll just leave the value out of it. It's a fairly expensive miter box on the market as far as collectors go. This is a very valuable collector piece. So I am missing one of these saw risers. I'm going to machine one on my lathe, my metal lathe, probably out of brass, to match the one that I do have. This will probably never be used, but I'm going to machine one just for the looks and search for one of these that's in destroyed condition that I can get one out of. So that's pretty much it. As just want to show you again. I don't know how long this is getting. Hopefully it's not getting too long or nobody's going to watch. But yeah, water, 1 tablespoon of Arm & Hammer washing soda per gallon. There's 5 gallons in there, so 5 tablespoons. I actually went over to go 6. The more rich it is with the washing soda, the better it conducts electricity. You can actually tell if you undermix it because you won't get many amps and it'll take longer. This setup worked perfect. You should keep these wires out of the water or they'll kind of corrode. It doesn't do a lot to them. It just creates this green shit on them. When you pull them up out of the water and you keep them out of the water, it conducts the amps better. I could have wire wheeled these. These were sitting under my box out in the side that I use for this process. They've just been sitting in the yard for a couple of years. I did not clean them up, or there's no wire nuts on here or anything to get perfect contact. They just wrapped around. I could have wire brushed these off to nice clean metal, wrapped them on nice and tight, made it conduct electricity even better, but it did a perfect job the way it was by leaving it overnight. And there is no downside to leaving it longer because the process just shuts itself off when it is done. So there's no danger like with leaving something in vinegar to leaving it longer. You can just leave it as long as you want and the process will stop when there's no more rust for it to eat. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to show the process. I'm just kind of chronicling the process of cleaning up this saw and this miter box as I go, so that should I ever part ways with it, whoever ends up with it can see the process that took to restore it to its original state, and also to throw some shade at the people that hate electrolysis, because I don't hate you, but I think you're foolish in your aversion to electrolysis. Electrolysis is a great process. It's simple. If I had dared on this mid-1800s saw, 1850, if I had dared take those split nuts out, I would have done that plate with electrolysis too, but I don't dare on a saw this old. I am going to sharpen it. I don't know that it will ever get much use because the plate, this handle's been so beat up by banging into the miter box. You can see both sides have been worn away from beating into the miter box over the years of the person that used this. This plate is loose. Let me see if I can get this on video. This plate's loose in the handle. There's play in the handle because the area in the handle around the spine is pretty much gone, and there's a big gap there. So this is pretty loose. Could I still use it for cutting dovetails? Sure. If you see this handle now, this is just soaking in mineral oil now to fill the pores because of so many years of being dry. This is going to actually leave it out of the oil now. Put that oil back in the jug, and I'm going to probably just clean this all down to nothing before I end up retoothing this. Could it be used for some light cutting? Sure. You shouldn't be putting much pressure on your cuts anyway. If it's sharpened properly and you cut properly, this would be fine even loose, but I think it's just going to end up being more of a display piece than anything. Handle's beautiful. Beautiful grain in it. Now this, when I put this into this oil, you couldn't see any of this grain. This was completely dried out and one monotone color. This is what the grain looks like now. I took nothing off. I'd used no sandpaper. I did wipe it down with mineral spirits just to kind of clean it up a little bit. But it's bad light. It's really a gorgeous piece. It's going to be treasure to keep in the shop. That's got enough oil on it probably for the rest of its life now. Probably won't even need, I don't even think I'll put linseed oil on it. I think I'll leave it just the way it is. But sorry it got so long, but that's the process. And I'm gonna go around and I'm actually gonna look for anything that I have that I can give a dunk in the electrolysis while I have the tank out. So don't keep it out all the time. So no. I'm going to look around for anything that I want to take the rust off of in the short term here right now before I put that tank away. It's got to be small, so it'd be hand tools like wrenches, or actually perfect one would be this faceplate for my metal lathe right here. Would actually not be a bad candidate. It's got some surface rust on it. You can see this would come out looking brand new if I hung it in there. Matter of fact, I think I just will. I'm going to take those splits off the back there, and I'm gonna soak this too. It'll clean it up like brand new. And these other chucks, the 3-jaw and the 4-jaw, I would have to take them all apart to do it. They're fairly clean, so I don't see any real reason to soak those. But this faceplate, why not? I'll just do it. It'll fit right in there right now. I can put it right back to running. That old set of Craftsman lathe tools comes with an old Craftsman spindle lathe that I have. You can see a couple up here. They're pretty rusty. If I dared break them apart, could do all the handles on those, but I think I'll just do that with a wire wheel so I can keep them in the same handles. But yeah, I'm going to go looking for rusted stuff. I don't know, maybe the spoke shave. It's got quite a bit of rust on it. I think maybe I will soak the spoke shave while I'm at it. Don't need to do that stirrup marking gauge really. It's got a little bit of rust, but it's in fairly good shape and it's been lapped, so I don't think I want to touch that. I got to go looking. So yeah, so that's it. Simple process. It's hook it up, check the amps. Anything over 2 amps at the start's pretty good. Mine started about 2.5 amps, went up to about 3.5 amps, sat there for for a couple of hours, and I went to bed and woke up this morning and it's done. When I went out, it was at 0. I left it in the water and hooked up until I got home from my morning run because I didn't want it to, I didn't want the parts to flash rust until I could get them cleaned off and get oil all over them. So now they come back in. We'll clean them up once we're good right here. And it's done. So it's also for you workbench guys, you'll love this. So this is where I've been hosing down with WD-40 for 3 days and PB Blaster. Got oil on my bench. No way. Oh my God. Time to make a new bench. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. My bench is restored. Done. So thanks for coming. Have a great day.